My name is Molly Mattos, and I am the CEO of the Matt and Molly team, and we are in Asheville, North Carolina. We service the mountains of Western North Carolina and every surrounding county of Asheville. We do about 200 to 250 transactions a year. We're a team of 5 agents. I sell very few of those because I'm also a bold coach, and I run K-Score as well. So.
When did you join KW?
I joined KW in late January of 2007.
In a short version, what brought you to KW?
Okay, the short version is that I was at a small mom and pop company that really kind of catered to a niche market. Asheville is very LGBTQ plus friendly. And so I joined a market center that was kind of in alignment with that. Not a market center, they're just called an office. I joined an office that was their niche market, was Sinks and Dinks, which stands for single income, no kids, double income, no kids, which in the early 2000s was very much in alignment with the gay and lesbian population. I became their top producer my very first year in real estate. And I was at a Rexpo. It's a real estate expo that we have here in Asheville. And a lady standing at a desk with a red book was like, "Hey, are you Molly Mattos?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "I have something for you. I have a gift for you." 25-year-old at that point in time, Molly was like, "Ooh, presents." And it was the MREA. And I was disappointed that it was a book. And I was like, "Well, I don't really read." She's like, "You don't have to read the whole thing. I highlighted a couple pages for you, wrote a note in there for you. It's just a gift. Congratulations for your first year in real estate." And that was the first time anyone had congratulated me, including in my own office. Yeah. So she stayed in touch with me. She did not recruit me. She did not sell me. She followed up and said, "Did you read the couple of pages?" Of course, the answer was no. She followed up like 4 months later. I was like, "Wow, you're having a banner year. You're going to beat last year." Long story short, I was top producer again in my small market center. And again, there was not much recognition. And she just got me at the right time and said, "I'd love to take you out for lunch to congratulate you on having a fantastic 2006. And at the lunch, she brought a little piece of paper that said, "I presume this is probably about what you made this year based on your production and what I presume is a 50-50 split." I was like, "That's about right." I was pretty stoked. It was a lot of money. And she said, "This is what you would have made at Keller Williams." And I was like, "Where do I sign up?" And I joined.
That's eye-opening. I am sure that that is a moment you will never forget.
It was. And particularly too, because she said, "I know you're a very loyal person, Molly, so I don't want you to think that I think this money is gonna be what moves you. I just want you to think about who you're being loyal to. Are you being loyal to a company that doesn't necessarily understand the value you have, or are you being loyal to your family who could have made an extra $23,000 last year?" That made a huge impact.
What is your favorite piece of technology in real estate?
Well, I gotta say, because I'm a time block junkie, my favorite piece of technology is honestly Google Calendars. It's kind of changed the way I am able to interact with people and do business. The people in my world, in the 3 businesses that I run, can have access to knowing where I am, what I'm doing, and how I'm plugged in. So that's a huge piece of leverage for me. My favorite piece of technology within Keller Williams is absolutely Command. I love all that it can do. I wasn't the biggest fan at the very beginning because I run a mega team, and in the beginning, it didn't feel like it functioned super great for a mega team. However, the greatest thing I think about tech in Keller Williams is that they adopt the personal perspective of being learning based the foundation of your action plan. And everybody in tech in Keller Williams is always learning and always growing. So I love me some Command. The things it does blows my mind.
So I want to hear what was or what is to date your funniest real estate story.
It's more of a nuanced human story, which I think actually all real estate stories eventually are. I had a client who, if she went to a house and felt comfortable enough to use the restroom, she would keep it on her list of homes to buy. If she didn't feel like she could have a tinkle, were her words, in this home, then she couldn't imagine living in it. So she literally went to the bathroom in every house that she considered for purchase. Same person also called a cul-de-sac a cuddle sack. She was
Oh,
yeah, she was a very interesting human to get to know. She was a lot of fun though, and she tinkled in her forever home on the 5th house she tinkled in. So it was
That narrows it down pretty quickly, though. You only had to tour 5.
pretty good. Our team average is actually only 7.
That's fantastic. That's
Well, we
interesting that
future
you
pace
track
that.
that.
We do, and we future pace it in our conversations. We say, on average, a buyer in our market is going to look at 5 to 7 homes before they make a decision. So when we get to home number 7, if you have not found the home that you're excited about yet, it's probably something that we missed. So we're going to sit back down, have a revisit of this consultation, and see if we can finite some of the details to help you find that right house. Because the worst thing we can do is show you houses you don't want to buy. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. I knew I was going to learn stuff in this conversation. As an agent, what is the number one thing that you make sure you do every single day?
So I have what I call my bookends. So this is going to be kind of instead of a one thing answer, because the answer is bookends. But if we just say that, right, at least everyone's going to be like, what the heck is that? So my bookends are every single day. I don't care if I'm on vacation, it's my birthday, it's Christmas, I'm in a boat, I'm coaching bowled, I have a busy day. It doesn't matter. Every single day, first thing I do when I wake up is I go to my planner. I use a bold planner because I have modified it to fit what I like with lots of white out and details. And the very first thing that I do is write down 5 things at least that I'm grateful for. Then I take my Google Calendar and I put it into my schedule. So the difference between a calendar and a schedule obviously is one helps you plan stuff. The other brings me focus and helps me decide who I'm going to be that day. Because we learn in bold, it's be, do, achieve. So when I can align my daily do with who I am, then it gives me a really good insight on how I'm going to show up that day. And that's how I write my affirmation. So I'll write down everything in my schedule and then I look at those things and whether it's sit on a beach with my feet up or coach the biggest bold in the country, it's going to determine my affirmation for the day. So then I write my affirmation. I look at my 411. I see where I'm at that day as it relates to my goals for the week. I set some daily goals based on those things. I track 9 things daily every single day. So I make sure those things are set up. And then I go about my day. At the end of the day, I do a quick 5-minute usually assessment where I track what I did well, what I learned, and I journal and then I go to bed every single day. Every single day.
That's fantastic.
I love it. It's been life-changing. I started that real solid habit. I'd done pieces of that like gratitude journaling for years before the pandemic. However, when March 17th was the day Asheville shut down, and I could tell very quickly my anxiety was up. I was very nervous, like everybody. I was super scared of the unknown. And I decided if I could bring some kind of structure that was exactly the same every single day, that I would be able to be in control of what I could control. And that's what I could control. And now I've done it for 3.5 years. I think I track the days because I'm a nerd like that. It's something like 1,300 days in a row that I've done those things.
That's wonderful.
Pretty
That's
cool.
a huge level of dedication. Well, I admire that dedication because that's definitely the discipline and dedication is where I personally lack some. I have these great plans and I stick with them for a few days and then something happens that disrupts it. And I just forgot about it. And then a few weeks later, I'm like, hey, I was going to do this.
So one of the cool things that really helped me stay on track is, and Jay and Gary do it really well in their advice in the one thing with the 66-day challenge. The coolest thing that we can gift ourselves is internal FOMO. So making some kind of strides and linking the days together and not judging how well you do it. Oftentimes we'll set like a thing where I'm like, I'm gonna do that every day. And like I'm gonna journal every day. And then one day we're like super tired and it's only been 3 days and we're like, I don't even have that much of a role yet. I'll start over next week, right? These thoughts kind of go through our head. It's our limiting beliefs at work there. Yet if we can kind of gamify it, we like to say, have some fun with it and not judge the do, pick up your journal in that moment and be like, don't feel like journaling today. Good, day done, put it aside. Right? It doesn't have to be this epic perfection every single day. It's the progress that begets the improvement. It's not perfection that brings improvement, it's progress. And so just attaching yourself to doing it no matter what, even if it's the worst job you've ever done at that particular thing, Do it just a little. Like, even let's say it's your goal to exercise every single day for 20 minutes, and it's 11:15 at night and you're exhausted and it's the last thing you want to do. So you're getting ready to quit. Instead, stand up off the couch, turn on your nightly news, and just pace back and forth for 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be like your sweatiest, greatest workout. It's done. So my advice is gamify it a little bit, link the chains together. The more you can create that consistency, the better your results will show up. We've got to stop judging the daily do and start thinking about the compound effect. The results come when we do it consistently, not when we do it great.
Will you please share with us a real estate horror story?
Can I share a horror story? I've read the questions before and I saw this question and I was like, oh, can I give a horror story with the happiest ending in the world?
Absolutely. Your version, whatever you want. I just love this question.
This is a great question. And I've never been asked it before. I've gotten to tell this story before because when you hear it, you'll understand. Like, it's a thing, it's a story you want to tell. So I was still pretty active, like, in the business. I had just become a bold coach. I was a bold coach for a little while. This was 2016, and I got interviewed by some potential buyers moving up from Texas, and I met them. I always do a little Facebook stalking of potential clients where I can, to see if I can find out anything about their personalities. I noticed that they love breweries and stuff like that in Texas. So instead of meeting at the office, I asked them if they wanted to meet at the brewery across the street. They were like, yeah, that's great. And now that I know them, they were like, that was the best thing you could have done. They're like, you showed us that you cared, you researched us, all that. So we're meeting at this brewery. I'm being full on interviewed. And we all know some buyers don't give two hoots who they hire, and some really look. So I'm dealing with two very pretty high C analytical style folks, younger though. And so I was being full on interviewed. The good news is they chose me, and I felt really, really, really honored, and I really wanted to do a great job. Not that I don't for everyone. Yet I felt really, really good that I was chosen. They interviewed 5 or 6 different agents. And so we got the process started. And then, unfortunately, the worst thing that's ever happened in my life happened. My father passed very unexpectedly. And I was out, like, gone. Like, the law of forced efficiency says there's never enough time to do everything. There's always enough time to do the most important thing. And my family and my healing became my most important thing. And so I was out, like, full on gone for about a month and a half. Fortunately, I have a great team and I had a showing assistant. And so these 2 clients were taken care of. I started getting back in the swing of things on their second search visit, and they were very sweet. They were very understanding. And so we hit the ground running when they came back on that second search. They had a pretty limited search. It was a good budget at the time in our market, not a great budget, 250,000, which now the average price is 450,000. So they did well ultimately. So we looked at these 5 houses that fit their criteria. They loved 2 of them, put an offer on the first one, and that seller was like, you know what? Thanks for the full price offer. I don't think I want to sell my house after all. Darn it. Okay, well, shoot. Made an offer on another home, and it was in multiple offers, and the other one won out. So we're like, well, darn it. They had to go home to Texas, like, in 2 days. And, like, this is it. They have rented their home in Texas. They have to find a house. They're in crunch mode. So Matt, my business partner, had a firm exclusive listing that he signed that day. And it seemed like a really good match. It wasn't perfect for Natalie because she really wanted a home that didn't need work. Yet Ben was a handyman and he was like, this sounds great to me. Let's go have a look. So we asked for an exclusive showing. The sellers granted it. They were like, this is awesome. Everything happens for a reason. Made them the offer, got under contract. Everyone's happy. Ben and Natalie go back to Texas. We are under contract. They have inspections. They get the loan process, appraisals done. It is Memorial Day weekend, and Matt calls me while I'm at the beach, which is never a great sign because he's not calling to say he loves me. And he said, so are you sitting down? He said the sellers at Providence don't want to sell. We are 2 weeks away from closing. These 2 analytical people have sold their entire house goods in Texas. They have a renter moving in 2 weeks. They have flights booked, friends with U-Hauls driving up, a full-on plan. Everything is ready. And we can't make people sell their houses. Even though Matt talked to them about the repercussions, what could happen, we can't sue for performance. It's not going to happen. So I had the fun task of calling them and letting them know this. Now, what I haven't told you yet is that in my back pocket, I'm packing up to getting ready to go to the beach. I'm packing up my car. My neighbor across the street is like, Molly, where are you going? I was like, heading to the beach. She's like, okay, I won't bug you now. But when you get back, we're kind of thinking about selling. We're seeing the prices around here and we're kind of like, maybe this would be a good opportunity for us to use our equity and move up into a bigger home. I was like, sweet. Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get home. So that's in the back of my head. Before I call Ben and Natalie to give them this news, I call my neighbor, Brad. He's an EMT. I'm calling him at 9 o'clock in the morning. He's a third shift EMT. He's probably just gotten to sleep. He picked up the phone and I was like, Brad, how serious are you about wanting to sell your house? Because I knew the price range was about right. And Ben and Natalie had seen my neighborhood, our builder, and liked the style. And in fact, mentioned, wouldn't it be cool if we could find a place out here? So he was like, hold on, let me ask my wife. Pitter patters over. She was like, yeah, heck yeah. We can, what does she think we can get for it? I always do cost analysis for my neighborhood. So I knew the range, gave them the range. She was like, yeah, if we can do that, let's do it. So I called Ben and Natalie. Ben, I was like, put it on speakerphone. I have some news. And I told them that the sellers at Providence were not going to sell them the house. And I heard this audible, you know how speakerphone is, from Natalie in the background. And I was like, I am so sorry. I have a solution though. So Ben is like breathing through it. Natalie's breathing through it. And I told them about the house across the street. We then spoke for another half hour about all the logistics, what would happen next. We would help them get all their earnest money back, anything they paid for inspections, yada, yada. I went home 3 days later, did a virtual showing of my neighbor's house, helped them negotiate the contract to move in 2 weeks. It was the greatest of all win-wins. And yes, there's more. We get to 2 days before closing. The lender did a great job reworking everything. And then all of a sudden, she calls me and she's like, Molly, is their house in 2 different counties? We're right on the county line. I live right across the street, so I know this. I did not know that their property was in 2 counties. Like when I talk about their property, I mean like take 2 steps, and that's the extent of their land in the bordering county. Well, it impacted everything because the well line, where's that? All of a sudden, everything's halted. So now I've got a family in a U-Haul, with their friends in a U-Haul with all their stuff coming up, a mom and daughter on a plane getting ready to land, and this mess in my hand that they're not actually going to close. So I walk across the street to my neighbor's house and I was like, I'd like to talk to you about this thing called occupancy before closing agreement, and somehow negotiated for them to move into their parents' basement and our clients, Ben and Natalie, to be able to move into the house and pay rent until the loan got worked out, which ended up being about a month. Because of relationships and trust, everything worked out fine. And I think that's the biggest thing about, do you have a horror story or do you have a hero story? Because that could have absolutely been one of the worst horror stories 18 times over. There were a million times where I could have lost the trust of the client, lost the business, lost whatever. And instead, we find solution-based thinking. And this is conditioned into me at this point because I'm now a 13-time Bold graduate. I've taught Bold about 10 times at this point. And it's just so conditioned into me to always be solution-based and come from contribution. And we were able to have this amazing success story. And now my 2 best friends live across the street and I can ask for a cup of sugar anytime, girl.
I was going to ask if you're still in the same neighborhood.
Same neighborhood. In fact, we were considering moving, and now we've got 2 of the most wonderful, kindest human beings living across the street, and I ain't going nowheres.
So my next question is, how do you deal with burnout?
I don't believe in it.
Oh, I
So,
like this direction.
and this isn't like an overnight decision. This isn't like Molly is just a box of unicorn farts and sprinkles. Like this took time and conditioning. So anytime in growth, and that's really what burnout is. It's you are growing at such a fast pace that it feels like you're burning fuel, right? My mom sometimes says, Molly, you burn the candle at both ends, right? And that's, if you think about burnout and what it really is, that's all it is. It's you're applying an extreme level of effort for a very long period of time. Now, where burnout can grab you is if you're not seeing results. And we learn in Bold that you must apply disproportionate energy to the activities that get you results. So if people are experiencing or choosing, in the bold language, burnout, you may want to look at where you're applying your energy because it's likely somewhere, it's hidden in there, in your inefficiencies, in the choices that you're making, in your mindset. So I no longer believe in burnout because the word for me was overwhelm. And I learned in a bold that I was a student in that overwhelm is a choice. It was probably one of the most impactful 4 words I'd ever heard. Overwhelm is a choice. And I started really thinking about capacity, where I was currently and where I wanted to go. And I was in a great place, yet I knew I wanted to become more. I knew I wanted to do more. And so obviously that's going to require more thinking, more doing. And if I was going to adopt burnout, it was going to just make it worse. So anytime I make a choice to improve myself, do more, level up, however you want to say it, I internalize that this is my choice. And anytime I make a choice, I choose to move forward with joy. Do I love doing the cat litter? No, it's my favorite chore. No, it's not yet. When I attach joy to that, because I'm going to do it one way or another, right, Elysse? I'm not going to let my cat live in filth. I'm going to do it one way or another, whether I'm enjoying it or whether I'm not. So why would I choose to do something I don't attach joy to? So as I do the cat litter, I say, how great is this that I have this beautiful animal that fills my soul so much and I get to help keep her environment clean. Do I love unloading the dishwasher? No, I do not. Yet am I going to make the choice to do it? Yes, I am. So why not attach joy to it? Anytime you're doing something that is your choice to move yourself in the direction you know you want to go, clean house, clean pet, happy, whatever, big business, attach joy to it. Because if you choose burnout, it's what you're going to experience. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing how over time, and again, there's that compound effect, it begins to impact everything in your life. I am an incredibly filled human. My calendar, my soul, my heart, my business, it's all at a very high capacity. I'm a high capacity individual. And I do that because I choose it. So if there are moments where my flight's been delayed 3 hours and I don't get into Salt Lake City, Utah until 4 in the morning and I'm presenting at 8 a.m., yeah, is that kind of like, whew, there's a moment for sure. You can't control the first thought, yet you can control every one thereafter. So my goal is always to shorten the time from that I go from me to, okay, here's my reality. How will I choose to exist within it? Not perfect every time. Yet when you practice all these little bits of life where you could feel overwhelm or burnout, and you practice changing that thinking, it gets easier and easier.
So my last question is, what do you tell yourself before you like go into your listing or buyer's appointment? What is happening in your head while you're driving on the road to this appointment?
I always assume the very best of people. Jordan Freed taught me that. He said, Molly, what? Well, he didn't say Molly. He was speaking to a class, yet I always hear them speaking to me. What would your life look like if you always assumed everybody you interacted was doing their very best? They're doing the best they can with what they have in the moment they're in. When you can approach business or life with that, knowing that you are in a potential relationship with someone and that someone is doing the absolute best they know how to do in that moment, it really frees you up to have a relationship. And Gary Keller teaches us all the time that this is not a transactional business. This is a relationship business. And so when we can focus on the relationship, Zig Ziglar said, right, when you help people get what they want, you will always get what they want. So I detach myself from the outcome. Do I want the listing? Of course I want the listing. Do I want my business to grow? Of course I want my business to grow. Ultimately, that's going to come from contribution. It's going to come from the relationship. So that is my mantra. These folks are going to do the best they can with what they have in the moment they're in, and I'm here to help.
That's fantastic. I know you said some similar things in the class that you did for our last team meeting,
Yeah.
and I took an entire page full of notes
Yes.
during that meeting. It was by far one of the best meetings we've had all year.
How
So
cool.
I just want to take a second and thank you again for joining me on a Saturday. And we ran over time, so I appreciate you allowing that to happen as well. And I'm looking forward to our agents meeting you in person.
I'm very much looking forward to it too. The only thing I want to say is give yourself that gift, invest in that time to be here and give yourself the gift of opportunity. It's the greatest thing you can do. And being in that room is the only way the room will change you. So I would just like to encourage everyone to actually plug in and be there. That's a great gift to give yourself.